Hey, hi, hello. How's it going? Hope you're fantastic. Today, I want to show you something that I think is pretty interesting, and I think you may think it looks pretty interesting staring at it now. This is a Lego puzzle box that I put together for my girlfriend's birthday gift. This idea is by no means, mine or new or unique or anything. Lego puzzle boxes have been a thing for a very long time, and this just happens to be the one that I put together for her birthday. Now, I did make an effort to, not reference any existing puzzle box videos, so these are totally my ideas, all the mechanisms and stuff. I'm going to go through a full solve, what it looks like to, break into this puzzle box and get the prize inside, which in this case is one of her birthday gifts. And then I'll try to crack it open, show you how all the mechanisms and stuff work. Now, keep in mind when I go through this first solve, it's going to look, relatively easy because I know exactly what I need to do. But I'm going to break it down into stages that should make the process clear, and keep in mind that if you were going into this blindly, it'd probably be a lot more difficult. And then I do have a couple other birthday gifts that I think are interesting to show you that I got for her, and maybe at the end, that'll be your little puzzle prize for sticking through the solving process. I'll show you those too. But yeah, let's get into the solve of this puzzle box. So I think the first stage is really kind of setting the rules and then just investigating the box, if you were the one that was solving this. And I say rules with quotes because usually you'd want the puzzle box to just be standalone and you can do whatever you want to it. But to get some of the mechanisms that I wanted in it, I do have to make the rule that, you can't take any bricks apart. So something like this, you can't pull this brick off and use this as a tool. No disconnecting Lego parts. That's really the only rule there is. And if we were going to try to solve this box for the first time, I guess we'd start at the front and notice these what look like doors, which are locked with a red pin there. So it seems as though these could open up like that, but with that red pin in there, they're kind of blocked. If we come along to the side, we see a couple things here. We see this, which slides but doesn't seem to do anything else, and it always springs back into place. We have another kind of knob here, and it just, you could do that all day, doesn't do much yet. There's something here which, if we go to tilt the box, we notice kind of pops out like a button, but if we push it, doesn't do anything yet. We also hear some rattling in there. I don't know if you heard that, but maybe we'll get to that soon. We can flip around, and over here we have, if I can try to get it in the light properly, we have a kind of tunnel which you can stick your finger in, not too much going on in there, and then a secondary tunnel here with an upside down envelope, and then we've got a bunch of holes here. Might be hard to tell on camera, but this is a green brick, but then this is a hole. This is a blue brick and then a hole. So perhaps if you had a skinny tool, you could stick something in there. Maybe that would do something. Coming to the next side, we have, this looks like something interesting, but doesn't do anything. Here, there's a little bit of deviation from the color scheme, but doesn't really do anything. Same goes for down here. Something going on, but doesn't do anything. And then we see another one of those spring back slider things that only slide one way and then pop back. Lastly, we'll take a look at the top, which is just a whole bunch of, bricks and stuff. And with this red piece, I think it's pretty clear that this is some sort of maze that we need to work this piece around. So that's the whole general inspection. And now if we're going to do a solve, I think stage 1 would be what I call tool collection. So you go around to see all the pieces that you can collect. And then perhaps this next stage will be to find out what to do with them. So yeah, stage 1, tool collection, and I guess we'll start at the top since it's the most, noticeable part. And like I said, it seems pretty clear that this is like a maze, and we want to maneuver this red brick somehow to a place where perhaps we can get it out. If we look, all the corners are kind of blocked off by pieces, except for here, where there's a big open space. So, I obviously know what you have to do, but if I was thinking about this as if I didn't, I'd think, okay, we need to get this tile piece out to here, and then that'll be a tool that we can use, because over here we'd be able to pop it out, but anywhere else we can't. So I really added this to the box just as a kind of time consuming, meticulous task. You know, it's not necessarily difficult to think, oh, I have to get this out, but then it's pretty tough to get in there with your fingers and drag it all around. And I'm leaning it right now, but really the only way to get through the maze is if it's, you know, held flat and you can work it. So I'm going to do that real quick. One other thing to note is there's like little gold studs kind of scattered around, both as like a cool looking distraction, but also if I try to slide this red piece directly through this channel, it's going to get stopped by that stud. So there's only one specific path, which you'll see in this little time lapse, that I must follow to get this out. So I'm going to put it flat, stand up, and slide it out. And there we go. I seem to forget the path every time I do it, but now that we reach the end, we've acquired this red tile as our first tool, and I guess we'll set it back here, and we'll see if we can find any other tools to use to open the box. So, someone who's very observant might notice that the bottom of the box has this kind of black tile where the rest is like all, you know, uniform. Like this is all black, this is all gray, but then boom, black. So it might prompt you to flip the entire box upside down, and what do we see? Oh, like a little maze looking thing. And as you heard, sounds like there's a ball or something in there. So you put that together, you see this gold stud perhaps represents the ball that is stuck inside the maze. And now if you follow this tilt pattern, maybe something will pop out of this hole. So if we're right here, we need to go this way, we need to go down, this way, down, down. And just like that, out onto the table comes another tool, this little ball, which I don't know if it's going to stay on that ledge or not. Yes, it will. Okay, so now we have two of our who knows how many tools. I know how many, but you don't. Next, this one's a bit tricky, and this actually prompted me to make some brick-built hints, which I guess I'll show you after too. So if the person trying to solve the puzzle gets really stuck, I can show them these little Lego builds and perhaps it'll help them. But the last tool that you need to acquire to open this box is, if you look inside, I don't even know if you're gonna be able to see this. This is just a big empty chasm for now. But if you look to the side and you're nice and observant, there's a tile right there that is just freestanding. It doesn't look too crazy on camera, but in person it kind of stands out a bit more. And if you stick your finger in there and push that tile, maybe I'll do it from this side. I'm pushing on that tile and you can see it is pushing out right from the side here, and with some nimble fingers you can pull this out. And that is three, count them, 1, 2, 3 tools that we can now use to move on to the next stage of the puzzle, which is using the tools to do stuff. The first place I think we will start is this little tunnel, which yes, did serve the purpose of pushing out the tile thing, but it does serve another purpose, and it relates to that gravity powered button that we saw at the beginning that we found during our exploration. So what you need to do is take your ball piece, and it's interesting because this is one of those like bionicle balls, and you can see this little hole part makes it a tiny bit flat. It's not a perfect sphere all the way around. The top is a little bit flat, and you actually need to use that because if we just go round ways, this does not fit in this tunnel here. But if you line up the flat part with the edge, it just perfectly goes in there. So we put the ball in, and did that do anything? Let's open our gravity thing. Still nothing's happening, right? So we put the ball in, it's gone forever. Maybe you can see it in there, not too well, but the ball's sitting in there and we can't do anything yet. So we look to these holes. And what shape are these holes? They are this tool shaped. So I suppose if I was doing this without having any idea what to do, I would stick this in all of these holes. That doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything. That feels like it did something. And you can hear when I pulled that out, it did something. And then this one, again, feels like it didn't do anything. Now, what happened when I pushed this stick into here like this? Well, we heard the ball fall a little bit. And if we open up our gravity-powered button now, like so, we can imagine that the ball fell into a little pocket, perhaps. And then if I push the button, And if I push the button, there it is, a little ledge drawer thingy will open up over here, and we pull that out, and what do we see? Another tool, a Lego Technic pin, which we'll put in our tool pile. And this doesn't seem to do anything else other than push that button out now. So you can see now that the ball is in there, it kind of bridges the gap between these buttons, and that allowed us to get that tool out. So this tool we're going to assume we're done with. The ball is we're done with. We're not getting that back. And we start to look around again. So we recall that the whole point of the door being locked was that it was locked using a red Technic pin here, and that's the reason we can't open it. So I think we can use our Technic pin to push that red pin out, so now we can get it out. And now there's no pin blocking these doors. So what can we do? We can open the doors, and we're done. We're not done. There's a big black piece blocking our way. There's no entrance here, as you can see, and that's very sad and frustrating if you just open the door. But we recall we have one more tool and something that we haven't tackled yet, which is these. I suppose we haven't tackled this knob yet either, but we'll get to that. So we have these doors open. We need to get this black bar out of the way. Over here we have another one of these, and you might notice it's interesting. This always wants to bounce back. Well, perhaps we use our tool here to lock that into place. So now this one is locked into place. So can we do anything now that that's locked into place? Is this going to move? No, not really. But what if we hold this one back as well? We're pulling that back. Now they're both held back, one by my finger and one by that red piece. And now we can slide up that black door, and that is finished. Out here comes a very cool and interesting pack of Theory 11 Avengers Red Edition playing cards. This is something my girlfriend was really interested in. She loves the art and the style, and she's a Marvel fan, quite a heavy Marvel fan. So that sounds like I just called her fat. She's quite a avid Marvel fan, and yeah. Well, right as we got to the fun part of showing the prize, my camera decided to stop recording. But yeah, so we pulled out the gift here. I was just about to say that this was like the only gift that was small enough to work into a puzzle box like this, because I'm going to crack this open, show you how it all works, and you'll see that there's not too much room for gifts. I do have a couple other things for her that I'll show you, but this was all that was going to fit inside the box. So I'm going to open this up and show you all the secrets to how it works and how I can reset it to be played or solved again. So the real main difficult part is trying to pry this whole top maze part off, and sometimes the brick separator kind of helps with that. Just working all the way around, and then yeah, I'll just show you when we get that off. Okay, so I got that lid off. I'm gonna have to take a lot more apart to show you how it works, but I did want to mention that this thing, as well as this hole, which also fits this tool nicely, those were just totally red herrings, or things that don't actually do anything, just to add a little bit more depth to the puzzle. Having things that don't actually do anything might make the experience last a little longer, so that's what those are. The other thing before I forget to mention is I said I had some brick built hints if you get stuck. The first was for, I know it's pretty difficult to in there, when the tile was in there, and push it out of here. It's very tough to find if you're searching around. So here is the first of the brick built hints, which makes it very obvious that an arch piece may have a flat tile on the right side of it, and that might just help you find that piece. So that's the first hint. The second hint was this little doodad here, which opens up to show you that, a Technic pin can be used to push out another Technic pin, just because if somebody's not like totally familiar with the Lego system and how Lego works and stuff, you might not immediately notice that this thing is locked with a pin that can just be pushed out. So this is kind of just suggesting that when you have the Technic pin tool to use, you can just use it to push out the red pin and get into there. The last hint is just a suggestion that the big black door at the front of the build, which I should drop down, that it has the ability to move up and down. So when it's here, like, it doesn't budge at all, so you may not make the connection to these side pieces, over here and over here. And you might not have, like I said, that connection that these have any effect on this door. And you might not know that this door is actually supposed to slide up and down. So this little brick build hint is just another kind of hint at what the whole operation kind of does. But ideally you won't have to use any of those hints. So now I'm going to try to show you at least as much of the mechanisms as I can. And hopefully that'll either, just be interesting or inspire you to build something similar. So this red herring piece, I mean, that's pretty obvious. It's just like a brick stuck in there. You'll see that these 3 tiles kind of keep a whole bunch of like modules in place. So I can pull these both out pretty easily. And I might need to like kind of tilt to give you a better angle. But these modules come right out. And basically what these make up is when they're connected as they just were, they make up like the entire tunnel system that the ball ran through. And you can see that since the ball starts low, if you have the whole box upright, you'll never be able to roll the ball up and out, which is why you have to flip the box upside down to be able to get that ball out. So I guess that's an interesting thing. But this is just a really shoddy looking tunnel. So the ball goes like here, 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 down, and deep into there. And then there's a wall here. So the ball sits there at the beginning and then tip, blah, 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 ball comes out. That's that. Next, if we look in here, you see this broom piece. Well, this is actually what's blocking the ball from falling, which maybe I can get the ball out now. Uh-oh. This was our red herring little slider piece. There we go. I got the ball out. So this broom piece, to reset the box, I have to slide that back in there. And what that does is you can see it blocks when the ball first drops in here. It blocks its ability to pass through, and that's why this tool must be put through the perfect hole to push that broom out of the way, and then when you take the tool out, the ball can fall. Let me pull some of this out so you can see what's going on when the ball falls. Oh no. Okay, there's pieces flying everywhere, but hopefully we can put this back together after, because her birthday has not arrived yet. But you can see in here, this is like a big brick section, which allows the slider to be like gravity powered. You see that? So I can push it. And since that's nice and heavy, this will always slide out. Now what happens in here, remember the broom was in the way of the path of the ball here, which is here, boop. So the ball is sitting in there. When the broom gets moved out of the way with that tool, the ball is allowed to fall into this slot. Oh God, that was the phlegmiest pronunciation of the word slot I've ever said. But when the ball falls in there, you can see it bridges the gap between that big, thick, pushy part and that gray kind of sloped piece. And that gray sloped piece is actually just connected all the way through in a line to the piece that we saw pop out. So now if I push in this gravity powered button, see how that slid along and that translated its motion all the way over to here where we found that Technic pin, which is over there somewhere now. But that's how this works. The ball kind of completes the pushing of those 2 pieces. And if the ball, come out ball. If the ball is not there, then pushing this does nothing. I mean, the mechanism of this roof part and the resetting of it is pretty straightforward. To get it back to the starting place, I just rip this brick off and put it where it needs to be and put this back on. That's pretty simple. Obviously, if you were trying to like actually keep stuff safe and hidden, you wouldn't use this because someone could just pop the brick off. But that's a fun addition to the challenge. I really like the way this turned out. I think the last thing to really go through is the front mechanisms, and you can see that these spring-powered buttons, if you haven't noticed already, are just powered by an elastic band. That's how they always pop back into place. And, oops, I just knocked a piece off somewhere. Okay, well, we'll have to find that. If you look at this slidey black part, so when I'm pulling this springy button here, springy, and you can see that tan piece, brown tan piece at the front there is over top of the black sliding part. So when I pull it back, you can see only when this one is pulled back and when this one is pulled back, which you can see does the same thing on the opposite side. But now you're looking at that red piece that's above the black door. only when both of these are pulled back is this black panel going to be able to slide up past them. So that's how that works. Obviously you have to hold one of them in place with that brick piece that you found over there, and then hold the other one with your finger, and that black piece will slide up and out, and then this is just a little housing for where the cards sat, so they can slide right out. And that's pretty much all of it. I think I hit every point and gave you at least enough context to understand how it works, and if you want to build one yourself, you'll be able to, at least get some inspiration and ideas. So let me reset it, and then I'll show you those other gifts that I mentioned that unfortunately didn't fit inside the box. Oh, I forgot to say too that this upside down letter, it's kind of hard to see, but I put the letter tile upside down so that, it might suggest that you should flip the box upside down, kind of like a little Easter egg. This tool just gets pushed back into its slot to reset. This slider, we can just stick back into its slot, and then we can get the big module pieces. There's a little brick that they connect to in there, which makes them nice and easy to replace. So those are in there, and that also helps keep the slider in. There we go. The ball, at this point, I'm just familiar enough with the track that I can just roll it back into its starting position. And then, oh no, I needed the ball to push the thing out so I can put the Technic piece back in. Technic rod goes back into its little drawer. The broom can get pushed back into its place, and then we can put this module kind of back in there, and then we would just click the lid back on and we'd be ready to go again. Obviously I'd have to slide open those doors and put the deck of cards back in, but I'm sure you can figure out how that would go. We'd put the pin back in, and that's the whole box basically. So that was pretty long but fun. I hope you enjoyed that. I will show you the couple other things I picked up for her, one being this Sylvie Funko Pop, because she absolutely loved the Loki show, and yeah, Sylvie was a really awesome character and she really liked her, so boom, Funko Pop. I'm just slowly pushing all of my hobbies and interests onto her through birthday gifts, but that's number one. And number two, speak of the devil of pushing my hobbies, she really likes hamsters and all things cute, so I picked up the Lego Brickheadz hamsters to hopefully entice her and gently push her down the stairs of the Lego hobby. So yeah, those are a couple things I got, that plus the Avengers cards and a couple other little bibs and bobs. But that's the whole thing, the Lego puzzle box adventure. Build your own, have a fun time, and yeah, we're done here. Yeah, I'm getting sweaty.